Going on, guys? JD at JD's Custom Buggies. What I want to talk about real quick is there seems to be a bunch of confusion about some of these newer buggies that are labeled as a 200cc or a 169 or 179, and there's a lot of new buggies out there that want to lose the 150cc moniker. So, again, this is just based on what I know, and every day that changes, okay? But here's what I know so far. What I know so far is that somehow, some way, we need to develop some sort of system to figure out what motor takes what, and this is what I mean. There's some 200cc or 179cc motors or whatnot, and I've seen different configurations. And I get calls all the time, hey, I have a Candy 200cc or a Tao Tao 200cc or a Dumb Fang 200cc motor. And so as of about a week and a half ago, I thought I had it all figured out. The reason why is because I had one of these motors come across my shop, and what I noticed about them is they were using, first of all, I had a different belt. All right, it wasn't the 743-2030 that you find in your GY6 150cc motors. It had some odd number belt to it, 758-3 or 758.3 by like 22.5 by, it was a weird number. I mean, it was just all over the place. And we all know that 743-2030 is our standard GY6 belt. So exploring into it, the variator was different on this unit, the clutch was different on this unit, and then I started doing a little research and realized, that okay, the variator came from a B block motor or a B case motor, or a GY6 B case, and I'm no aficionado because I cut my teeth on the basic A case 150cc motor. And I know there's an A case, there's a B case, there's what they call a K case, which is a motor that if you are shopping for a used buggy, you or a new or used buggy, you might want to stay away from. And what I want to talk about was just basically the CVT system, or how to figure out what, let's say you want to change roller weights and you order the roller weights into the wrong ones, and what do I do? And I actually, like I said, as of like a week and a half ago, I thought I kind of had it down, and I didn't, because I ended up selling the wrong weights to a customer, which, I don't like to sell the wrong part to anybody. But we got it resolved, and apparently the manufacturers, or the different manufacturers, there's no rule of thumb yet with these motors, these newer buggy motors that they're putting in. So how do we figure out? Well, if you want to upgrade your CVT system. Okay. So, if you have an A-case motor, which is your basic 157 QMJ, anything with a 157 in it, anything, let's put it this way, anything that takes a 743-2030 belt, and this is taken for granted that the belt that your buggy is supposed to take, that you didn't buy a used buggy that had no belt, so for a fact that that's your belt. If that's the case, then 90% of all these upgraded CVT parts, which are for an A-case motor, will probably fit your buggy. So your roller weights, your clutch, your variator, the springs, all that kind of stuff, shouldn't be an issue. But suppose you have something that's a little odd. Okay, suppose you have a 200cc motor. Suppose you have a 161 QMK, which is your K-block motor. What do we do? Because the stuff looks different. Well, you need to identify what you have. Now, obviously, you're not as fortunate as me, where you can take parts and measure them, and you have a couple different parts to compare. So I'm going to try and do my best to just give you a signal. Now, if the belt is in the motor and it's not a 743-2030, okay, and it happens to have some 750 something by point something by 20 something point something, then chances are that you have one of these odd ducks. So Not to say that there isn't some clutching options for you. All right, so real quick, I just want to go through differences in some of these parts that you might see. Now, from my experience, all I've seen are AK style variators and BK style variators in these motors. I haven't seen a mix, but you know, obviously the AK stuff is going to take the 743 2030. The other thing is that when you're looking at, if you're looking at rollers, if you've ever been on a website, maybe you're not shopping a buggy site, which just might have your old school AK rollers and weights and slide weights and all that. There is a way to determine different weights if you see more than one style weight, slide or roller weight on your web, you know, on the website you're shopping at. So this is I'm just gonna hold that up there. Hopefully it focuses in. So that's a Dr. Pulley set of 10-gram rollers, okay, and it says, you know, you have an 1814 there. 1814, all right, is the size of the roller. It's not the weight of the roller, it's the size of the roller. So when you take the roller out, an A-case roller, or your typical buggy, you know, old school buggy variator roller, 18 by 14. That means it's 18 millimeters tall, okay, in diameter, and then 14 millimeters wide, okay. So that's how anything that's 1814 will fit most buggies that have the 743 2030 belt, A-case motors, stuff like that. And so there is a width and a diameter, all right. On this one here, I got a 2015. That means it's 20 in diameter and it's 15 millimeters wide. Okay, so 20 millimeters this way, you know, around diameter, and if you turn on its side, it's 15 millimeters wide. These are probably the two that you're going to find in your buggies. This is going to be your old school, typical. If I got a 743 2030 belt, it's an 18 by 14 roller, and then you just pick the weights that you want. And here's where the difference lies. Okay, this, I'm going to try and hold this, but so that's your typical A-case variator. This is what's in your Earth Dogs, Crossfires, anything that's labeled as a 150cc, anything that, you know, this was the variator, okay? And that's basically fits in an A-case motor. Oh, this thing's got weights in it, so that's why. So that's a brand new variator there, okay? And then what I'm going to pick up here is a B-case variator. Now, I'm going to hold the fans up. You can't really tell, but I'm going to hold the components up side by side. So that's my B case, and that's my A case. And there is, you can see that this guy's a lot bigger than this guy, okay? Same thing with the variators. It's my A case. This is the standard 743 2030 belt style variator. And then there's my B case variator. Larger in diameter. Every part about it's different. There's nothing the same. A case boss, B case boss. Okay? Same length, but different diameters. The other thing is the inside of the variator, which I'm just going to pick it up and show you. And this is where the 1814 to 2015 all comes into play. Okay, you can see that the B case is a lot bigger. This one, the B case, takes 20 by 15 style or sized weights, okay, and this one takes your 1814 weights. That means that the ramps in here on this one is 15 millimeters wide, on this one would be 14 millimeters wide. All right, so completely different. Now, that being said, because of the different sizes, that your belt might have to be a different length because we have a larger variator. All right, I'm gonna get all these parts mixed up on the table here. The other thing is, now I've seen this in two different ways too, and I actually ordered these B-case parts just to make this video to kind of show you, because I didn't have any in, you know, I don't normally sell B-case stuff. So on this particular B clutch, which is this guy here, and it weighs a ton. All right, that's a B-case clutch, and that's an A-case clutch. Now I'm holding it with the bell to you. The bells on these two clutches are actually the same, meaning the clutches are actually the same, but I have seen B-case clutches with completely different sized bell and a completely different sized clutch, okay? by eye, from what I can tell before I turn the camera on, it looks like the bells are definitely the same size, and they are using the actual same clutch, which I have sold people A case clutching to put on their B case pulley. Okay, and that does work. So you can use a spring if you have that. You can spring it, and you can, if you do have the bigger bell and clutch, you can actually swap it out for the A case clutch and bell. As long as you swap them both, clutch and bell, it will fit this pulley. All right, and which I'm going to hold these up. So here's my B case pulley. That's pretty big. That's my A case pulley, and that's a huge difference. All right, and that's what's going to affect the belt length. So if you have, the one thing I've noticed is the B case pulleys, clutch pulleys, they have these fins on the back of them. The A cases, I've never seen that. All right, but you can actually fit that pulley inside this one. Not by much, but it's definitely a different size pulley. This one takes your 743 2030 belt, and then this one takes that odd belt, which is kind of hard to find. Now I've seen these deals are on the like new Candy 200cc motors and stuff like that. I don't know every other manufacturer that's got that, but that's where it comes into play. Is that I had a customer buy a Dumbfang 200, and local, he came in the shop, and I said, yep, I got weights for that. I sold him a set of 2015 weights. I sold him a spring. Spring worked, but he called me back and he's like, hey, listen, he happened to own a Trailmaster too, and compared the weights, and the Trailmaster weights, his old Trailmaster weights fit the variator he had. Okay, so he ended up returning the 2015s, and I just got him the right weights in return. So that's what got my gears rolling, and now I'm like, well, I guess what I thought was rule of thumb is not rule of thumb. So the easiest way at this point is you take your CVT cover off, and if you have a 743 2030 belt, then you should be good to go with ordering your typical GY6 stuff to fit your buggy. If you don't have that 743 2030 belt, then by all means you might want to take a second look. Obviously, you're not going to have a set of roller weights laying around to compare, and so if that's all you have, then you have nothing to compare to. Feel free to contact me, whether it be a comment on the YouTube page, contact me via Facebook if you know me through Facebook, and we'll figure it out for you and get you the right stuff if you're looking for that kind of stuff. But I can't tell you at this point what manufacturer is using what and with the motors. And I know I mentioned about ABK block motors. Just to be brief about it, that's probably a whole nother discussion for a video. But you have your A case motors, and what it has to do with the cylinder spacing. Plus the cases themselves are different. The most noticeable difference between an A and a B case motor is that the B case motor has wider spacing for the cylinder studs. So it is a favorite platform for like doing big bore kits, and like you see these 232 motors and stuff like that. That's going to be done in a B case motor. The K case has an altogether different style of or different size stud spacing. It doesn't match A case, it doesn't match B case. It's a monster all its own. There's no aftermarket supporting it. The only way you're getting another cylinder or a head for that is straight from the manufacturer where you bought the machine. Okay, and it's going to be a buggy manufacturer or ATV manufacturer, because you're not going to find, they usually have the built-in reverse, and you're not going to find these motors in a scooter because they have reverse. So it's going to be strictly an ATV buggy thing. And they call that a K case. Now I've had discussions with people who are like, well, you can change a K to a B case because it's very close to B case spacing, but it's just a hair off. And about putting studs in and breaking them off or cutting them off level in the block and then re-drilling holes. And who wants to do that? A case is the most it's the most common, and that's what the aftermarket is mainly supporting. All your high performance stuff, 90% of it is for A case motors. All right, and that's what it's in our older school buggies, our 150cc buggies. There's not a whole lot of B case aftermarket clutching wise. There's things you can do, But the 8-case motors, the old school GY6 150cc, I know I usually call old school GY6s as like coming straight out of a scooter with like a reverse box, external reverse box, stuff like that. But any motor that's claimed to be a 150cc that has a 743-2030 belt in it, that is going to have the most supported aftermarket and high performance market for that motor. All right, those motors. The other stuff, they're not probably going to have the same support in high performance aftermarket for it, because most of our performance aftermarket high performance stuff comes from the scooter racing market. All right, all this cool clutching stuff and all these, the intakes and stuff like that, better heads. It's for scooter racing. And when the internal reverse comes into play with the motors, you're not going to find them in a scooter. So if they're changing the stud spacings and this and that and the other thing, a different style motor, then yeah, they're not going to, it's off the performance scooter market's radar. So probably not going to happen. So hopefully this wasn't too confusing for you. This has been eating at me since I had that one customer, and I'm like, damn it, I thought I knew it all, but I don't. So every day is a learning curve, and it's hard for me. I don't get a lot of these 200cc motors in my shop a lot, so I haven't, been able. I've had one or two, so I haven't really, nailed it down yet. But hopefully this gives you enough of a heads up. So if you're kind of shopping, especially with the CVT and looking to upgrade the CVT on your buggy, that you can buy with confidence and kind of know what you're doing. And if you don't, like I said, feel free to contact me. Hopefully you're liking what you see, and it's educational and you're learning something or whatnot. Give it a like if you do, and please subscribe if you haven't. And I try to come up with different points of discussion that might help you guys as far as buying. And listen, I love it when you buy stuff from me. It doesn't necessarily. I want you to love your buggies as much as I love mine, and make the right decisions and not get caught up in buying wrong parts and have to return stuff and all that kind of stuff. So if you're digging it, subscribe, and till the next time, thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you. JD out.